because they've said they want Phil Jackson. But to me, that's like, of course you want Phil Jackson. That's like saying, who do you want for your dinner date? You want Megan Gale or something. I mean, it's like you're going to pick somebody, everyone wants Phil Jackson. I mean, if the Lakers wanted him, essentially, you wouldn't turn him down. I'm not convinced he'll go to New Jersey or to go to Brooklyn, but I'm not convinced they'll give it to PJ either. So it'll be interesting to see.
The Nets have still got some value on Betstar right now. They're $55 to win the NBA championship. Let's look at some of the teams that are a bit closer to contending. The LA Clippers, in spite of being on this 16-game winning streak, are still a $9 title chance. Is that history going against the Clippers there, Ed, or a bit of mistrust because they don't play for another couple of days? They're 24-6 at the moment. They are absolutely rolling on in brilliant form. They are halfway to the all-time record NBA win streak, and their next match is on Tuesday, and I think they're heading to Memphis. So pretty difficult assignment there. But what do you make of the Clippers' winning run?
Oh, they're great. They're fun to watch. That's the most important thing. And I think you're spot on, Teo. I think it's history. I think it's people not trusting this team. It's similar to what we've seen with the Texans and the Falcons in the NFL, but particularly the Clippers. They've always had this history of being bad, and people still aren't believing them. They kind of went out last year with a whimper in the playoffs, so I think people aren't quite convinced that they're the real deal. But it's been great to watch.
Sorry, Denver is where they're heading. So, 24-6 their record, and they're in Denver on Tuesday. So, difficult game for the Clippers coming up, and their winning streak goes on the line. Shorter odds than the Clippers right now on Betstar for the NBA title. The Lakers are still an $8.50 shot. The Oklahoma City Thunder, $4.75. And the Miami Heat are out, I think, based on last week's odds, to $2.90. Recent results for the Heat have been up and down, and I was surprised to see that they actually lost their most recent game in a bit of a surprise upset.
Yeah, it's one of those things again where I know I preach this all year. With these big teams, you just kind of ride it out. It's an 82-game season. We're not talking, AFL season or NFL season. The season goes on and on and on and on. So there's opportunities to they're going to make the playoffs. We know the Heat are going to make the playoffs, so there's no stress that way. It's all about finding form, getting some chemistry, working these things out. And it is funny in an 82-game schedule when you lose to the Wizards or when you lose to the Bobcats, although no one's losing the Bobcats because they've lost 18 straight. But if you lose to a team like that, it makes a huge headline. But in my opinion, it's not like week 14 of the NFL where a team gets upset. That you're only playing 16 games. 82 games, you're going to have those results.
How do the Major League Baseball guys get through then?
That's exactly right. 162? Yeah, exactly.
That's a fair bit of baseball.
Do
they have Major League Baseball game passes?
Yeah,
they do. Yeah,
absolutely.
You pay for a certain number of teams. I think you can pick and choose your teams. You don't get absolutely everything, but you can decide, I think, on 4 or 5 or 6 depending on your package.
You know the beauty of baseball.
It's a good sport to be in the media in because there'll be a million jobs.
It's a beautiful sport when you live in a city where there's a baseball team. Like when I lived in Seattle, it's one of those things where you can literally, a couple guys will be sitting around and you look at your watch and, you want to go to a ball game tonight? Yeah, that's good. And you walk over and you go.
There's always one on.
Well, that's exactly right. And so it's and they're really clever about selling you 10, 15. Like I think I had, a 30-game season ticket package or something, and so it's actually marketed very well. And it's not like the footy, for example, where you go, all right, here we come, you get fired up, and let's go. It's once a week, and everyone's all on board. It's a much more laconic sort of.
How many
sport.
cities have got representative teams in baseball, hockey,
all
basketball,
four?
And NFL?
Yeah, it's a great question.
I think Chicago's got all four.
Chicago, New York. No, Seattle doesn't have a hockey team or a basketball team anymore because they're in Oklahoma City.
Yeah, right, yeah.
The surprise one that many people always leave out is Phoenix. Because Phoenix has got baseball, football, basketball, and the Coyotes in hockey. That's one people forget about. Dallas, I think, is one, with the Rangers are close. So your bigger cities do have it. And it is amazing, I will say, if you're in a city like a Philadelphia where you've got the sports buzz. You can imagine the sports talk. There's no off season. Just all year round these guys are talking sport on radio.
But then again, you do have the Eagles.
Yes, correct.
was going to ask, what would mean more to Washington, the Nationals getting into the World Series or the Redskins getting into a Super Bowl?
Redskins,
Yep.
hands down. It's a passionate fan base. I want to say they're close to, if not leading the league in attendance. I mean, it's a very, very serious Redskins town when the Redskins are winning, which was actually, people were stunned that the Nationals actually got so much coverage this year in Washington.
We've got a quick call before we go to our next break. Greg is in West Meadows, wants to speak about the NFL MVP and Rookie of the Year. Greg, you're on BetStars and Stripes. Hello.
Hi, Greg.
Yeah, just a quick one. I just wanted to throw up who your thoughts were on the MVP and the Rookie of the Year. I'll go Peyton and Andrew Luck. And just under your scenario too, it'd also be nice and ironic that the Colts will return to Baltimore in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, good point. Of course, it used to be the Baltimore Colts in Indianapolis. Yeah, you're right. Very good point. Look, MVP, I tend to side with Manning. I mean, I love what Peterson's done, and I know everyone's on board because they don't want it to be another quarterback. But Denver was an okay team last year, and Manning's turned them into an elite team, and I don't see how you can go against that. That's my gut feeling there. Rookie, I honestly think is a toss-up. I might lean towards Griffin, I'll be honest with you, just because of what he's been able to do and energize that team in Washington. Even Russell Wilson is a guy I would throw in there as well.
Talk about third fiddle Russell Wilson.
True.
I mean,
he's been great.
Yeah, and the other two have got all the attention.
Yeah. But Greg, you're certainly right with either of those choices. I think you can't go wrong with Luck or Griffin or Wilson. But personally, I think Griffin will win it. I think he's got the personality, he's got the energy, and I would be surprised if Peyton didn't win. I shouldn't say I'd be surprised. I probably wouldn't be, but I think he's a worthy candidate.
Jump on the line, 9429-1116. This is BetStars and Stripes. We're off to our final break. And don't forget, it's easy to bet when on the move. Head to betstar.mobi to have a bet whenever you want, wherever you are. Make the most of the $2 power lines on every NFL game. They're up Sundays at 4 p.m. Head to betstar.com.au or betstar.mobi to take advantage of this great offer.
This is BetStars and Stripes with Dr. Turf, Ed Wyatt and Alice Gander.
Welcome back to BetStars and Stripes. Ed White and Dr. Turf in the studio, 9429-1116 if you want to jump on the line, or 0433 98 11 16. BetStar offer the best of the best on all Saturday and selected public holiday metro meets half an hour prior to the jump. Select it for the best of the totes or top fluck, whichever is higher. BetStar.com.au. Plenty of text messages rolling in, and we're going to go back over the NFL games coming up tomorrow morning, Ed, because not only are there playoff implications, but we could be waving goodbye and farewelling a number of coaches who could be in their last game full stop, or maybe just the last game coaching their current franchise in the NFL.
Well, we know for sure that Cleveland is cleaning house. Shermer and I think that's his name. I don't even know his name. How bad is that? And the general manager are gone. They've got a new owner there. They've bought the team from Randy Lerner, who's also the guy that owns Aston Villa. He sold the team. The new ownership's come in. How are Aston Villa going, by the way? They've come in and they've said that they're going to clean house and go next year, which is interesting because Cleveland's done some good things this year. They had a 3-game winning streak.
Yeah.
I know that sounds silly, but there have been some positive signs there.
No Russian oligarchs have moved into
it's a very good
NFL
question.
franchises.
Well, you've got the one owning the Brooklyn Nets, Prokhorov. So there is tradition there.
They are reasonably cashed up.
They are, absolutely.
Rex Gone?
No.
No,
I think he stays.
Really?
I think he stays. I do.
And Sanchez and Rex stay.
Sanchez, I'm not sure about. I mean, again, they have to figure out it's going to be the same scenario with Peyton Manning. Remember last year they had to decide whether they're going to re-sign, or if they didn't cut him by March or whatever, they'd have to pay the whole salary. Otherwise, they only pay some of it. So they may move him on. They'd have to take a big salary cap hit. But I think Ryan stays. I think he's earned enough in the last, not this year and last year, but a couple of years where they got to the championship game. He's done some good things there. I think ownership is going to write off this season and probably just, have a stern word and say, get your you-know-what together. We're not going to go through another season like this, or you will be gone. But there are some things there, and I know the media likes Rex Ryan, and, there are good things about him that you just haven't seen a lot this year.
The media likes him because he keeps making very big statements.
Yeah, true. That's very true.
Maybe they're going to get Brett Favre.
What about Andy Reid in Philadelphia? Eddie's been one of their most successful coaches in history. But
sad.
hasn't been able to get them that elusive Super Bowl.
Sad. He's done great things with a terrible franchise. He and Jeffrey Lurie, the owners, they're really committed to giving him the things he wanted. Brought in Terrell Owens. They brought in people that they thought could help him, and it's just been he's probably maybe should have gotten out a little while ago. The family problems with it that he had to deal with were terrible. Both of his sons going to jail with drug problems. His oldest son overdosing in training camp and dying. It was just horrible stuff he's had to deal with, and you just can't. I mean, you look at that, and he's had this for the last couple of years. Having to deal with that and coach this team and deal with the Philly media is a very, very hard thing. So it's sad to see him go. It's the right thing. I'd like to see him maybe try and get that life together and come back, because he's a very, very good football coach.
Does what goes on in bowl week, does that have any influence? The clubs, the NFL, clubs that may be looking for coaching staff, not just coaches.
Yep.
They're looking what's happening. With all the bowls.
They certainly are. I mean, there's been a trend lately not to go for the big name college coach because a lot of them haven't worked out. So they're probably looking more at other NFL coaches and assistants. But absolutely, they're looking at these games. And we've already seen, for example, Northern Illinois, I think, is going to play in the Orange Bowl. Their coach already took a job at North Carolina State. So they're going to win in this BCS $17 million bowl game with an interim coach, I think.
A bit of a self-indulgent question then, if you mentioned college coaches, Ed. My Tampa Bay Bucks tailing off awfully at the end of the season. Has the move to go for Greg Schiano, the former Rutgers coach, backfired in a sense that the team is now playing as badly as they were when Raheem Morris got sacked at the end of last season? And
it's a good question.
They were 4-12 last year. When they lose to the Falcons tomorrow, they're going to be 6-10.
It was funny because at the start of the year there were questions about him. In the middle of the year they look good. They've been on a tailspin the last few games, but that middle part of the season I thought they were really playing well, and I thought, hey, they've turned the corner. So I don't know if that's immaturity with Schiano not really knowing how to handle it or what the issue was. But you're right. It's now put it back in where they're arguably have had a bad season, whereas 4 weeks ago, Teo, I would have said they've had a very good season and they've done some good things.
Now, it could be a loser leaves town, or they'll both leave town anyway match when the Oakland Raiders take on the San Diego Chargers. Norv Turner's been at the Chargers forever and a day. Dennis Allen is the 18th head coach of the Raiders in the last 6 weeks.
Allen will stay. I don't think that's going to be a problem. I think they'll give him a shot. I mean, it's his first year, isn't it? Or
it is.
First.
That hasn't saved a number of coaches in the past.
No, it hasn't. But Al Davis isn't around anymore to make those decisions. I think they may stay with him, Teo. That's just a gut feeling, because sometimes that changing just can be even more tumultuous at this point. Norv has to go. I mean, if San Diego keeps him around and A.J. Smith, the general manager, I'll be stunned, because they've underachieved for so many years, and this has been a terrible season.
How much? I mean, obviously they have a lot of influence, but how much influence do owners have?
Massive. And it depends on the owner's ego, and it depends on how much he wants to get involved. Jerry Jones at Dallas is your hands-on, walk down, hey, what are you guys doing? That kind of owner. Pat Bowlen at Denver, a little more hands-off, but he likes to stand on the sidelines in the $1,000 leather jacket and keep an eye on things. Arthur Blank, the guy in Atlanta, I think he was a big Home Depot guy, one of those Bunnings type places. He's made millions. He's another guy that loves to go down there on the sidelines and, cheer the guys on and offer them some words of advice. So it varies, but they've got the influence. And if they don't want something, or they do want something, they'll get it.
I just wonder whether they know whether their coach can coach. And
I think it's a great question. I think they'd have enough savvy, and most of them love the game. I mean, most of the guys are in it because they either love it or they want to. It's a toy, a play thing where they want to show their pals, hey, I own this football team. But I think they would have a pretty good idea what's going on.
Who owns the Saints?
Tom Benson, I think, is the guy that owns it.
And the granddaughter is the CEO?
Probably. They tend to get the family in there, like Jerry Buss with the Lakers and Jeannie Buss, his daughter running the show. Yeah.
Two other coaches that might be in trouble: Chan Gailey, his third losing season at Buffalo, or Ron Rivera at the Carolina Panthers as well. Either of those two in trouble, Ed?
Ron Rivera, I thought maybe early in the year, but as Doc pointed out, they've kind of gotten it together a little bit.
If they win tomorrow,
they're going to be. I think they're fine.
If they win tomorrow, they've actually had a reasonable year. The Panthers,
no, despite that failure, you're right. I mean, if they win tomorrow, they're 7-9. If they lose, they're 6-10.